Hello, welcome to today's collective general reading. As always, remember to use your own discernment, join with intention, and allow the messages to be received with an open heart. A reminder that we are speaking symbolically, not factually. Okay. I've been recording for a while now, and I feel that this is a new run of message. Although if it relates to parts of the previous readings, you can revisit those for context. Have the Voyager Tarot here. So what message does Spirit have for the 444 collective I'm hearing? Leading. Following. What is action? We'll do top and bottom. And then love. 3 of Cups on bottom. Okay. What was the word that I said with this? I'm not sure. I'm gonna speak around this. I'm not going to speak on this yet. I don't know what that is. So we have balance. We have the Sage of Crystals, which is the Knight of Swords. We have Achiever, Man of Worlds, which is the King of Pentacles, and Equilibrium, 2 of Cups, which is the 2 of Cups. Interesting. Which? Question mark. Which is the 2 of Cups? What for you in your life is this? Because when I was putting away the deck from the other one, it was also the card on bottom was the 2 of Cups, or that, had fallen into my hands. So there's something new coming in. I'm looking over on the wall and it always catches my eye. It's I think like who lived here previously had like drilled holes in the wall for something, but there's 2 and they're at a diagonal. So it's like it would be perfect if there was a third to make it a triangle, right? But it's just the 2. So something is just beginning. Now, having this be the bottom, 2 of Cups, equilibrium in balance, yeah? Having this be on bottom and the top was Achiever, I'm seeing a message here for you as I'm seeing these 2 as eyes in that globe. The message from Spirit is be mindful that you don't treat this like it's a sprint, it's a marathon. What it is that you're wanting to create needs to start slowly. You can't set a deadline, a finish date, a place of completion. You cannot yet coordinate that on the map. And for me, this message is coming through as something galactic, which will mean different things for different people, and I leave that for you. As I'm seeing this man on the moon footstep. So what you're trying to do, you're trying to force something through with only your intuition because you want it to work. You want it to happen. Or it can be a want or it could also be you're speaking as a knower, Sage of Crystals. You're like, but I know it's going to work. But I know it's correct. Here in this hand, seeing this reflective ball, this crystal ball, glow, orb, reflective one way or another. It's mirroring. And there's this magical mirror that you have inside you that allows you to see reflections of the world and reality around you that may go beyond the knowing of people that are in your sphere, are in your orbit. And it's not about forcing your knowing onto other people. You may be phrases, right? Before your time is a phrase, but just because you are at the precipice, you are at the very tip point of a mountain, you finally got to the top when you're like, oh, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to be. That's what I want to make. Okay. You can't just immediately nosedive to the bottom of the valley because you know that's where you want to end up. You will crash. It's about balance. So what is this message? Delusion, 10 of crystals, 10 of swords. So what is the risk of you just plummeting forward is delusion. If you're basing everything on your intuition, it's a muscle like anything else. And what is it that can happen when you work out too much and your muscles are just like contracting and doing like freaky stuff and whatever? It's not healthy for you to rely too much or solely on one avenue of your being, of your system. And like in a previous message, I just like briefly mentioned AI-induced psychosis, and so perhaps that's coming through in this message, and doesn't even need to be AI-induced, but focusing too much on the magical, the mystical, the unexplainable, and free falling down to the bottom of that mountain into the valley and saying, I'll catch myself. I'll know how to land this plane because I know where I want to be. But, and I say this, what's that on bottom? I'm gonna say, I say this with love, and then we have death, right? Not love in contrast to death, but there's another way. There can be an end to this method of madness, I'll say. And I don't use the word madness lightly. Mad studies, psychiatric survivor movement, mad justice, anti-disableism, anti-sanism. We're having a conversation, right? Right. But just because, this is what I say with love, just because you know where you want to go and you know why you want to be there, just because, I'm gonna point, just because you have a purpose doesn't mean you have a process. And so whoever it is that's resonating with this message, you might feel stuck because you're like, I don't want to climb down the side of the mountain and it's marshy and it's wet and then there's cliffs and I don't know how to get down from there. And I would rather nosedive off the side of this mountain in the same plane that got me to the top. But the thing is, again, going to fuel, which is in the previous message, there is not enough fuel in that same plane to take you back down. The purpose of that carrier, and so the plane in this case, it could be part of your spiritual awakening, it could be a spiritual practice, it could be a project that you've been working on, it could be a relationship, it could be a career. Like there's, you figure out what metaphysical into physical thing, experience, essence, journey, process this is for you, and you carry through with that story. Okay, this is a general reading. And the purpose of the plane was to get you to the top. It was get you to this place where you have this newfound understanding of equilibrium. It was for you to gain a higher appreciation of balance. Actually, now that I mention it, I'm looking here and I think I see, or I'll see, like mountain in the distance, right? And you're trying to come from what is honestly beyond the scope of the card, which is an interesting way of phrasing it. But you're currently up here and you want to be there. And so you're like, well, I'm just going to go in a straight line. Not everything, most everything does not work in, as I just kicked something because I'm making room for my feet. And there's something beneath the desk that had been there for the last 2 hours I've been sitting here, and I didn't even notice it because I didn't need to stretch out until right now. I didn't notice that there was something in my way. I did not sense a barrier because my stature up until this point met my needs of those moments. But now that my needs have changed, now that my needs, but like my requirement of resources is expanding, and I am expanding and getting bigger into the universe. I am spreading outward. I'm finding that there are now things in my way that used to just be around me. And it's not about burning down everything that is in your way. What if it's not in your way, but it's in your environment? It's within your own ecosystem. And I say own, not as in like we can own our ecosystems, but the people in the world around you may not be the ecosystem that you are speaking of. So to each, right? Okay. Rider-Waite-Smith. So what is a message for this person who wants to nosedive? I'm hearing you stubborn. Okay, the first we have is the King of Pentacles, which is the Man of Worlds. So stubborn. You're stuck in your ways. Again, Pentacle energy, the 3D is the hardest to, I'll say maneuver, but like the hardest to change or shift with energy or magic or manifestation. What do you want to call it? On bottom, we have the 6 of Pentacles. And what I'm seeing is this is not enough. You currently don't have enough for what you want to poof into the world. Because that's the thing. Magic is not the same word, is not the same meaning as instantaneous. Something happening magically doesn't mean it just came out of nowhere. It's actually having come from deep down, and like to each, you know, your own expression, understanding of magic, totally sure for absolutely. But it comes from you creating it, and it starts with a spark. And again, your plain tank is empty. You don't have enough to get you to the bottom of the mountains. And so when I had said stubborn, and then the King of Pentacles came out, it's just like, just because you can see it in front of you doesn't mean it's that close. Emperor, Moon. Okay. I know it's a lot. The new bottom, we have it's Justice. And again, I normally put the top on top, but for some reason the top wanted to go on bottom because it's about time. I'm not saying that right now Ima is right about time. I'm saying it's time no koto, like concerning time, regarding time. It is about time, but it's not like soro time. Okay. And yes, I see that that's cut off because is it you can't see her face? You cannot yet visualize what this time will look like. It's not for you yet. As I just nudged that moonstone. We have the Emperor and the Three of Wands, and this came on top of the Two of Cups. And so what I'll say about this is you on top of the mountain. This is more stubborn energy, okay? This is very loud. This is you on top of the mountain and saying, I want to go there. I've decided I'm going to go there. It's going to happen. I will make it happen. My will makes it happen. Magic. And again, stubborn with these Taurus rams, right? Everything that you're doing right now is framed. I'm seeing it's framed in stubborn. I'm also seeing these mountains behind you. The part, you know, internal family systems, you could say, the part of you that feels like you can make it is in a different space than where you physically are atop the mountain. This stubborn part of you, this inner part, thinks it has already made it to the bottom of the mountain and that the valley is only a little more. This stubborn part of you does not understand you are still setting your sights atop the mountain. You have not gotten to the bottom. You need to get there. And so that's something that you're not taking into consideration, and that is clogging up your equilibrium. We have the Hermit, the Knight of Wands, and the Eight of Swords, which is funny because in the previous reading that I just did, you were the Knight of Wands. And in that one specifically, as I turn over my faith, the horse and you were looking in different directions. Here, in choosing this, in running to the Hermit, you're in the same direction as your intuition, as the creative energy flowing through you. It's not about rushing to the top, rushing to the bottom. It's about proceeding to the next step when it is time and having faith. Again, see how far she is away from anyone else. And she is on her lonesome, but she's not alone. Like, these buildings are close enough, you can see the windows. She's not in the middle of nowhere. She's not completely lost. She needs to, as I see just the three little leaves coming there, that antakarana, that divine connection with spirit, body, mind, spirit. She needs to have faith that the time will appear when she is able to ignite the flame, as I see the wands, this being the flame. So you will know when you know, and it is not time until you know. And wanting is not the same as knowing. Now, that seeming like advice situation, this where you are now, yes, magic, the Witch of the Tarot. Yes, coming home with your creation, celebration. But in the meantime, what you don't see is all of the time it takes for this to grow. These wands that are made of wood, these trees didn't grow overnight. They've been growing for hundreds of years. And just because you rolled up and you said, I see a couple sticks, I'm going to claim that as wands, and that will become the wands. That will be the spark of my flame. Girl, I don't see a flame. It's not ready. It's not ripe. You're going to bite into something that is bitter and tough and sharp, and it's not for you yet. I'm looking at here, she at like Leo energy. I think that you would call those lions. And also seeing her with the sunflower, seeing her with, actually, I had pointed out those three little leaves there, and seeing her wands have the three little leaves. So this is yes, I know it's the next step from the Knight to the Queen. This is maturation. And yes, your intuition is always there, but see how small that cat is? It, as I just heard like a dog wine outside or something. It's not for you to put all your muscle onto one aspect of you, especially if intuition and magic and energy work and being a healer is new to you. There will be a time when you can, yeah, yell dog, let it out, when you can celebrate, when you can bask in what you have created. But right now, what I'm seeing, interesting, Queen of Pentacles, what I'm seeing is that this horse is looking away. This person is like, ah, yes, we're all, these humans are looking in the same direction because they're celebrating the same thing. They're moving forward. But this horse is like, I don't think we're supposed to be here yet. I think we're missing a step. And that step being Queen Pentacles, the step being self-care. It's not for you to feed yourself into delusion. Because once you're there, that is a very deep hole to crawl yourself out of. And I'm seeing love here. Again, 3 of Cups, divine connection, body, mind, soul, Antakarana. With the Hierophant landing upside down is you are warping your love for spiritual practice. It is now becoming something to, is it achieve on this one? Achiever. It is now becoming something to achieve. It is not something to balance. It is not something to be. It is not something to know. You want it. You want to own your spirituality. And that's not what, and like, you know, bold statement, that's not what it's for. It's not for you to own. It's not to be tangibilized and kept and contained. You can, you know, you can have containers, you can set pace, you can do all of these things, but it's not for you to rip it out of the hands of earthly creation and conceal it. That's not what it's for. We have the 2 of Wands, the 8 of Pentacles, and the 5 of Pentacles. I'm first going to talk about the 2 of Wands. Do you see how this wand is not freestanding? It is rooted into the building, not just the ground, it's into the building. And he's looking at a world and seeing where he wants to go, what he wants to conquer, right? What you need to remember is where you come from. Now, I've talked about this in a lot of my earlier videos, and I've kind of like walked back from the conversation because it is a whole conversation, but I'm speaking to people in a Western context. I'm speaking in relation with Turtle Island and its colonization by settlers. And how often, and I'll say white people, but it's not just white people. It's, I'll just say person discovering spirituality, person looking for meaning, person searching for something. How often we go to other places, not where we're from, not our roots. We go to somewhere else because we want something. For whatever reason, we want to take it. We want it to be ours. We want to own it. And so what are we doing? We are looking outside of ourselves. We're not looking in. And a lot of people that are spiritually led will look to, as I'm just realizing, like one of the legs of my chairs keeps popping out. So I'm going to fix that and I'll keep talking. I'm going to repair what is supporting me. There's something that we as spiritual people that are not connected with a spiritual body, a spiritual community that we resonate with, that we connect with, we take and we grab and we want and we desire and we envy and we crave. Because we're trying to fill some part of us that has been ripped away from our divine connection with Mother Earth, with creation and has been tied to a colonized structure. I could say that this is an institution that starts with a ch and ends with a ch. For me, that is a way of viewing it in our reality, in our shared reality. So the message here is work at it. Develop your own. It will take time, but it's not about going into total hermit mode and then doing all of this on your own. It can be about building connections with a community. Not inserting yourself, but connecting. And if your knee-jerk reaction to that is that you don't see a difference, that is something for you to look at. And I don't say that in a judgmental way. I say that in a way, I'm saying these words because I live the life that I live, and I'm continuing on a life that I was raised in. And for me, I was raised inside that church. And it cut me off from connecting with a lot of people growing up because the expectation was only us, nobody outside this building. It is only us. And what you are building is your own framework after having gone through the experience of, one way or another, a limitation for you to connect with other spiritually led people. You're now working on building a reality that houses where you want to be. It is, I'll say this now. It is time to stop doing things the way that you have been doing. There is another way. There are so many more ways that will become easy and second nature to you. A calm after the storm. That was the video that I put up yesterday. But it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen like that. Magic is not the same as instantaneous. And what are the next two? We have the Four of Wands and the Six of Pentacles. So we've had the Two of Wands, Three of Wands, the Four of Wands. For me, the Four of Wands is the card for the 444 collective. So I find that interesting that that has come up now. And this came up earlier as in it's not enough. But what if you start planting seeds? This now is sounding like an infomercial for the 444 collective. But that is why I created it and felt called to start building a foundation for a virtual ecosystem for people to come together that connect spiritually, but we're not exploring our own spirituality at the expense of others. It is a new way of connecting spiritually that is cognizant of how our social context, you can say the political, the social, the structural, governmental, yes. How that divides us. And it is about learning how to come together. And so don't worry about trying to rush to where you think you need to be. It's not about where you need to be. It's about who you want to be. Who do you want to be? What is a path there? How can you balance this path with your own recognition of justice? I see her foot just barely poking out there. She has her thoughts and her actions, justice, in balance. And she's only letting a sneak of motion set out. Do you see how, not stoic, but clear words? Anyway, it's about taking the first step. It's not about nosediving off the side of the mountain. Okay. I believe that is the message. Yeah, that's totally the message. So if this message resonated with you, if you found it interesting, you can like this video, comment down below, say hi. You can subscribe to my channel to hear from me more often. And if you are curious about the 444 Collective, you can go in the description and find a link to my Substack. Stay tuned.